Hello. Today I'm going to be doing a video on peppermint. The the other common names for peppermint are mint, balm mint, or brandy mint. The Latin name is Mentha ex paparita, paparita, and I'm probably not pronouncing that. I don't have a very good pronunciation with the Latin, but I'm doing my best. How's that? You can always go and put this into your computer, Latin name for peppermint, and it will come up. Most of you, this is a common herb. Not many people recognize this as a medicinal herb. This is thought to be very common. If you go to your grocery stores, you can see peppermint gum, peppermint candy. A lot of people, like this in the making you like the peppermint hard candy. Peppermint is used like when you go out to a restaurant and you've just eaten hot spicy foods. Most Mexican restaurants will have a little piece of peppermint there for you to put in your mouth, because what it does is it's great to soothe your stomach after you've eaten hot and spicy food. Always remember the toothpicks that had either cinnamon on them or had peppermint, and that is to make your breath fresh, or to coat your stomach. A little bit of peppermint oil on your, and they usually have a little combination of peppermint oil with something else to soothe your breath or to make your stomach feel a little bit better. So the toxicity about this herb, I always like to get that out of the way right away. Peppermint oil can, if it's taken in excess, and that would have to be quite a bit. If you're pregnant, or if you are like you're breastfeeding, it can kind of dry up your milk a little bit. But that's if you're taking it in excess, and that's peppermint oil. If you're drinking tea quite a bit, like if you have an upset stomach or whatever and you're drinking it for that reason, you might want to not do it in excess. And you don't ever want to take the peppermint oil and apply it directly on your face, around your nose, around your mouth, around your ears or anything like that. Peppermint oil it's a very strong odor, and it can burn your nose. Your olfactory system in here is very sensitive. You wanna kind of put it way out here. I see some people do it right there, and peppermint oil can even be too strong for, I'd put it way back here, because it has a very fragrant, it's very aromatic, I love it. And I think the more we love it, I think the more we think we need it. So all of this in here, all the way up to our brain, is very sensitive. And we don't need it to be all the way up here. We kind of need to pull it back and step back from it, because it's not a whole lot. We don't need it to be that strong, okay? People that do have reflux, it can be aggravated, and in here they can kind of like, they don't realize that that's what's aggravating the reflux. So peppermint tea can even aggravate it, because the herb has a lot. When you put hot water with the herb, it brings out the oils, and the oils come out in that herb, and so it can aggravate it. So if you have reflux, be very careful. People with gastrointestinal I have a hard time saying words. I think everybody can tell that now. Gastrointestinal people with gastrointestinal can upset. Some people that have it to a certain extent, to a certain level, it can upset them. So you want to taste it. Some people say it has a very pleasant taste to it. I get the leaf and I chew it, and to me it's very pleasant. Some people taste it and they say, "Ooh, that's too strong." So I suggest that they always go to spearmint, because it may be too strong for some people. Some people love it like me. I don't think that peppermint to me is fine for like when I get ready to take a bath. It's very relaxing. Spearmint is perfect for me. But I love drinking peppermint tea, and I love flavoring things with peppermint tea. It grows all over North America, and it grows all over, really, it grows regions 3 through 9. I mean, it grows all over, because it'll grow most predominantly where it's cooler. It doesn't have to have tons of sun. I think the hotter it gets around July here in Texas, it can get burned up. Like around July and August, you want to kind of keep it nice and moist, because it gets really, really hot around this time. And around September, I mean, it comes back. It's a perennial. It'll grow and grow and grow, and it'll kind of take over. Some people try to cut it back. I like to dry mine. I don't like to dehydrate it in a dehydrator, because it takes a lot of the medicinal properties out. I like to air dry mine, cut it, hang it up, and air dry it. And then crumble it up, put it in a jar, make sure it's really good and dry, and then you can make teas or make tinctures, and then you can also put it in, for making oil out of it, and make salves out of it. You can do combination herbs with it. There's all kinds of things that you can do for peppermint. But in your backyard, in your front yard, you can have it in a container. Just when it gets really hot, it'll try to shrivel up on you. So that's when you try to give it a little bit of shade and keep it nice and cool. And sometimes the leaves, when you see them start shriveling up, it's getting burnt by the sun. It has little jagged edges on it, and it's dark green, medium green. I don't want to say dark green, but it gets pretty dark. All of it's good. The roots are good. The stems, the leaves, every part of the plant is good for use. The edges of it are, like I said, the jagged tooth. It just smells wonderful. You can identify this, the upper portion of the plant and the leaves. They're kind of small. Like I said, the jagged, the smell is divine, and you can make the oil out of it, and how they come about, the history. It's the oldest and one of the most reliable herbal remedies, especially the issues of digestion. I know I said all that before, but some people, it just aggravates because they have other underlying issues. It's because it has such strong properties, it can aggravate somebody. But it is good for nausea. It's good for vomiting. If you have a headache and you make yourself a glass of tea and you want to smell it, it can actually take away your headache. It helps with combination herbs. I use it a lot with mullein because it opens up the lung, and when you're breathing in and you're drinking something like mullein, it relieves asthma. By itself alone, it helps with asthma. When you have chronic bronchitis, when you have a toothache, when you're vomiting, indigestion is an antiviral in itself. It has antiviral properties. A lot of people, I know in other cultures uses it. In my culture, especially, I am created I have a creator I call Yahweh, and I would like to just take this moment and read a scripture to you. I believe in the Bible, and I have called my ministry that I'm in the Garden of Herbs. And so the Garden of Herbs, I'm relating back to the Garden of Eden. And in the Garden of Eden, I believe that so many plants back from Genesis in the Bible. And so in Genesis 1, in let's see here, in verse 11, and I'm sorry that it keeps getting dark. There, we'll do that for a minute and see if it works. And in Genesis 1, verse 11, it says, "And Yahweh said, let the earth put forth grass, seed-producing plants, and fruit trees, each yielding its own kind of seed-bearing fruit on the earth, and it was so." In verse 12, "And the earth brought forth grass, plants, seed, each year yielding its own kind, and the seed and trees, each yielding its own kind of fruit. And Yahweh said that it was good." And this was on day 3, and this is talking about how creation got started. And the plants, to me, that it's talking about here is, I think we had all kinds of plants. And all kinds of plants that we're talking about, we could be talking about all the plants that we have with us here today, because this is a perennial. And so to me, I feel like we have the herbs, we have all seed, because this produces seed when it gets to a certain point. You know, you see the little seeds that get up at the top. So this is God's own medicine right here. And so all different cultures, and Yahweh is the God of creation, the God of all creation, and that's all people, all plants, everything. So to me, when it talks about you know, the energetics here, there's people in India, there's people in Chinese medicine, but how he speaks to me and the energetics, and how he speaks to me through the spleen, the liver, the lungs, it opens up your spleen, your liver, your lungs, and also you can cook with it in the culinary. I like to go out to my garden and get these leaves and mix them in with your salad, your cold salad, your lettuce, and you can put fruit and everything. And while you're eating it, it just makes it taste so fresh. And you could put blueberries, and you could put nuts, and you could put all kinds of things. And when you're eating it, you're tasting a whole mouthful of explosion of flavors. It just puts a new flavor in there. And you have other different mints that you can add, as well as just peppermint. So it has also, it can regenerate cells in your spleen and your liver and detoxify at the same time you're eating it fresh. You're getting that whole mouthful, but it's doing something when it's going in there, and you haven't violated that herb. It's a fresh herb. You know what I'm saying? So culinary wise, and it's doing something medicinally as well when you're using it in the culinary sense. So there is a difference. It's stronger in its medicinal way when you use it that way. They call it wild mint in Chinese medicine, and I thought that was pretty cool. Early in the morning is the best time when you can pick the flowers, and you can use the flowers for medicine. It's good to grow it in the shade as well. And let me see here. I was going to go on to this. They call it Bo He in Chinese medicine, and they have all different kinds of ways that they remove stagnation. And it's a Chinese medicine website. They say it removes all the toxicity, and it clears all the lungs. That's how they use it in Chinese medicine. It clears all the stagnation, and it moves all the toxicity in the lungs. That's how they use it. And they use it for unclogging the throat. And let me go on here. They said that the deficit of heat, because what we also want to remember, and I'm glad I went onto this website, if you're ever really hot in the middle of the day and you just make yourself like you've been out and you're thinking to yourself, you know, I just need to cool off, and you could do this for a dog, you could do this for yourself. Make yourself an ice glass. You heat up your water, and you're going to make yourself some mint tea, some peppermint tea. You're going to heat up the water and steep it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then pour it over some ice cold water. Or you can heat it up and drink it hot. Either way you do it, it's going to give yourself a hot effect, but it's going to cool the body off. And how it does that is peppermint is meant to heat and then cool. Heat and then cool. And if you do that, what you're doing is it's a boost of heat, and then it just immediately cools the body. And that's what peppermint does. It goes in and it heats the body up, and then immediately lowers your temperature. And it's really one of the reasons I love it, because it's whatever else that might be off balance in your body, it brings it back into balance. And you could just sit there and rest, which a lot of our society has forgot how to rest. When you work, you need to go sit down and rest for at least 10 or 15 minutes. So the time it takes for your tea, probably 30 minutes is a good resting time. And then your body stays in a constant state of where you're not in stress all the time. Then you can get up and go do something else. But that's one of the lifestyles that we have kind of gotten away from. We've gotten away from constantly relaxing, and not having that ability to relax as much as we should. And so it's really good to take the time to relax, take the time to put a little honey in some tea, and just relax. That's what it's all about. And drink some tea and have some time to relax. I was going to go back on here and see if there was anything else that I could say about peppermint. I actually think that's it. So if there's anything that anybody would like to share with me about peppermint, I do use peppermint quite a bit in my combination herbs. I use it as a single herb. I think summertime is the most favorite time that I like to drink it. And I'm going to be posting this video on several of my social media. I'm going to actually post it, I think, to YouTube and to Patreon. But if there's anything that you guys would like to leave me as a comment, like it, and actually share it if you can, I would greatly appreciate it. And I hope this has blessed you. This is one of the 10 herbs, if I can get my fingers right, that I think is the top 10 that I think everybody should have. I think you should grow it in your backyard. I think you should have it on hand, because it's one of those that if you You could use it as a remedy for your family, and it will come back every year. And I think that, you know, like if you're sick and you need to have it on hand, and I'm going to do another one very soon, because of the fact that there are 10 herbs that I think that you should have in your backyard and on hand in case one person in your family or anybody in your family, or you might have a neighbor. Because of the times that we live in, we should always have herbs that are on hand that keep us from running to the grocery store because of the times that we live in. And I do believe that this is one of the 10 herbs that will always be there to help you and aid you, that you don't have to run, because this will keep, like your fever, I don't know if I mentioned that, but this will keep a fever down as well. It's herbs you can find and grow in your backyard. This is one of the top 10. But that's all for now. I hope you are blessed, and I hope this was helpful to you. Please leave me a comment and let me know where you're from. Please let me know if this is going to be one of the top 10 that you grow in your backyard. And that's all for now. This is Rexanna with Garden of Herbs.